Welcome to Soul Spark. These episodes are brain snacks, brief, bite-sized reflections from my personal journey, designed to be digested in just a few minutes. I'm not here to tell you how to live or what to do. I'm just here to share my stories and the questions I've wrestled with along the way. My hope is that by sharing what's moved me, I might just spark something in your soul today. Let's dive in. Episode 18. The 90-year-old Dennis. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine a version of yourself who's 90 years old. Imagine them sitting in a comfortable chair by a window, watching the sun set on a quiet afternoon. Their hands are weathered, their hair is white, and their breath is slow and steady. This person has seen it all. They have lived through the storms you're currently navigating. They have felt the fears you're currently fighting. In mid-December 2024, I decided to have a conversation with that version of myself. The end of the new year was approaching, and the working Dennis was in full force. I was stressed about projects, anxious about the future, and deeply concerned with how the world perceived my success. I was caught in a frantic now, convinced that every deadline, every decision was a matter of life and death. But then I sat down with my journal, took a deep breath, and invited the 90-year-old Dennis into the room. I looked at him through my mind's eye and started telling him about my problems. I told him about my career goals, my worries about my reputation, and my constant drive to achieve more. I waited for his advice, expecting him to give me a brilliant strategy or a secret for more productivity. But as I looked at him, I realized he wasn't impressed by any of it. He didn't care about the titles I had held. He didn't care about the size of my bank account or the perfect image I was trying so hard to maintain. To a man at the finish line of his life, those things didn't even look like milestones. They looked like distractions. I asked him what did matter, and the answer that rose up from my own soul was so simple, it was heartbreaking. He cared about the mornings I spent drinking coffee with Jennifer without looking at my phone. He cared about the times I had laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. He cared about the moments I had been brave enough to be vulnerable and the days I had chosen to be kind instead of being right. He cared about the quality of my presence, not the quantity of my performance. When you look at your life from the finish line, the big things you're currently stressing about often become very, very small. And the small things you're currently ignoring, the way the light hits the floor, the sound of your child's voice, the physical feeling of a deep, calm breath, suddenly become the only things that truly matter. I realized that by living so much in the future, I was effectively ignoring the man I would eventually become. I was so busy building a legacy that I was forgetting to actually live the life that legacy was supposed to represent. That December afternoon, the heavy pressure of the now simply evaporated. I realized I didn't need to impress the 90-year-old Dennis. I just needed to make sure he didn't look back with regret because I was too busy working to notice the beauty of the journey. When you start living for the version of you at the finish line, you stop sprinting. You start walking. You start noticing the flowers. You start prioritizing connection over competition. You realize that your life isn't a project to be managed. It's a gift to be enjoyed. So, I want to ask you today, if the 90-year-old version of you was sitting in the room right now, what would they tell you about the problem you're currently losing sleep over? What if the small things you're pushing aside today are actually the only things you'll remember in 40 years? What if you give yourself permission today to stop trying to be successful and simply focus on being present? Did I spark your soul today? Thank you for sharing this space with me today. As you step back into your world, remember that you don't need to have all the answers right now. Sometimes just noticing the question is enough. May this brain snack offer a moment of stillness in the noise. And remember, embrace the spark.